All right, here we are live at Black White Tail, and today I'm joined by two guests on this edition of the podcast. And today we are here to actually review the season for the bottom 5 teams. Now, actually, the team that we're going to talk about today would be Warriors, Hougang United, Balestier Khalsa, Brunei DPMM, and Young Lions. So, gentlemen, which team should we start with, from the top or from the bottom? Which one do you prefer? From the bottom, okay. So let's talk about Garena Young Lions. Now, Garena Young Lions have had, I wouldn't say it's a very bad season, but wins have been hard to come by. Okay, and for the Young Lions right now, looking at their goal difference, they've only scored 9 goals in the league this season. They've conceded 56 goals. That gives us a goal difference of negative 47, and they only have 6 points. Out of these 6 points, 3 of them are draws, and 1 win against Warriors, which I understood that Warriors actually played a largely reserve side, I would say. So perhaps let me first pass the microphone over to Small Donovan, and Small Donovan can actually share with us his thoughts on what was good for Young Lions this year, what was bad for Young Lions, and what was purely ugly for Young Lions. All right, so Small Donovan, over to you.
Wow, bro, bad is an understatement, man. I think it's atrocious. Like 9 goals in 20 games with a negative 43 goal difference. I would say the only good thing is at least they are getting playing time throughout the season. But I was actually looking at the stats. Well, I mean, the strikers are not even scoring any goals. Itsun has 0 goal in 10 appearances. The top scorer is Supano on 2 goals, as well as Suhaimi on 2 goals as well. Then the other 5 goals are spread around, they have 3 midfielders on 1 goal each, 2 defenders who have scored once. I honestly cannot think of any good, positive thing to say about Young Lions this season, apart from the fact that, they are getting playing time, which is good, for, players in the age group, when they are still developing. I think the bad thing, there's more bad things. They are getting trashed in a lot of the games. First game of the season, they got trashed 6-1. Yeah, and I think they lost to Albirex 8-0, got trashed by DPMM 7-1. Way too many bad things. I don't know where to start from, to be honest. I would say, it's time to disband the team. The FAS really need to look at Young Lions and try to help out the boys. It's quite poor thing to lose every week. And, I think all the other clubs in S.League want to play against them almost every week because it's a guaranteed 3 points. Apart from the fact that Warriors, Warriors lost to them and, Warriors draw another game with them. So basically that was 4 points against Warriors. Yeah, so they got 4 points, playing against Warriors, which is not bad. Warriors is a good team. They really need to disband the team, in my opinion. Just get them to join the S.League clubs and fight for their positions. Yeah, I think that will be the right thing to do moving forward.
All right, so now the microphone will go over to Big Donovan, who will share his thoughts about Garena Young Lions. Something good, something bad, and something ugly about the season so far.
All right, in my opinion, I think the Young Lions had a tough season. But again, for them, I think everybody knew that their journey for this season was going to be very, very difficult. So for good, I think, of course, the 1-0 win against Warriors is a big deal. But mainly, there are some games which they did perform well. I will look at the first, the 1-0 loss to Albirex. I think Vincent Subramaniam was a real good addition. So in that game, actually, they matched Albirex for fitness, for pace. And I think it's safe to say that no other team came close to doing that. So there have been some good times for Young Lions. I think Muhammad scored a really good volley against Home United, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so that was one of the bright spots in their otherwise miserable season. As Small Donovan said before, the they didn't start the season on a good note at all. 6-1 loss to Home United. But I think the appointment of Vincent Subramaniam sort of turned the team around. I think, in a sense that he's a tactician, is a disciplinarian. I think that sort of helped the young boys. He guided them through the tough spots during the season. And the 1-0 win against Warriors is probably their highest point. Yeah. For the ugly, you could say in general their season has been ugly. It could be said we didn't expect much from these boys, but of course we didn't expect them to be whipped every single day, every single week. So yeah, I think Young Donovan mentioned the point that we would actually disband the Young Lions. Yeah, maybe the idea of putting all young players in one team and having an expectation of them to win games or to see out games against more experienced players was a bad decision. But at the same time, watching the Young Lion games gives you a perspective. You get actually see how the young players of Singapore are doing right now. And it's better than them being kept like back in the training ground where you don't get to see them being exposed to us. So maybe you could say, yes, Garina Young Lions should be disbanded, but we should always focus on our youth. So I'm glad that playing for the Young Lions has given these kids exposure, and hopefully they will use this as their lessons when they move on to the different clubs next season or anytime after. Yeah.
Okay, talking about Young Lions, let's touch a bit on the call-ups that some of the players got this season. I mean, yeah, in general, the season didn't go so well for them because wins were not forthcoming for them, but the few bright spots that we had were like players like Mohaimin and Hami actually got called up to the national team, and then later on Rushaidi Salimi also got called up. Now, I just want to hear your thoughts about these players who were called up to the national team. I mean, given that they are from the bottom team in the league, but they were still being called up, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that it's good that Sundram is giving opportunities to young players, or perhaps you feel that there are other players from the Prime League, or maybe from the younger players from the S.League clubs who should have been called up? What are your thoughts? Small Donovan first.
Okay, if you look at the Young Lions team, right, I would say the only person that probably deserves the call is Hami Sahin. I think he's like probably one of the best number 10 in the league at the moment. As for, who's the other one? Rushaidi. Yeah, Rushaidi to me is still not ready for the international stage. I don't know. I mean, he just scored like a fantastic free kick, and the next moment, we know like he's in a squad. I think there are like players who definitely deserve to be ahead of him. I would say the second choice in my opinion should still be Nazrul Nazari from Hougang, even though his form has obviously dipped. First choice will still be Faris Hamid, but I don't know. For him to get a call ahead of Nazrul, I don't think that made a lot of sense to me. But let's be fair, right? Let's not try not to be too harsh on the young boys. It has been a good season in terms of like playing time, getting run out week in, week out. But I still feel that, for the long run, I think it's still better to disband the team. Itsan, I think Itsan deserves his call as well. That guy has like lots of potential. Alongside, Irfan, obviously. Even though he hasn't really scored any goal in the league this season, but he has been doing quite well in SEA Games. Yeah, he scored a couple of goals as well. You can see that the guy has a lot of potential. It's just playing in the right team, where they can, really play to his strength. I think many a times when I watch the Young Lions this season, I think it has been quite frustrating for him. The same goes for Hami. He's definitely one notch higher than the rest. We can tell, from the way they bring the ball. He's probably like one of the best number 10 in the league, like I said. But if there's no one to finish off, or there's no one to complement or accommodate his playing style, then I think it's very hard for them to, play well together as a team. Yeah, that's my take on the players from Young Lions.
Okay, for myself, I haven't seen much of Rushaidi, but the indications that from most of the people that have watched him is that he's an industrious player down the right wing. He takes a good set piece. Okay, yes, he scored that one free kick, and maybe that contributed to his call up for Sundram's team. But having said that, the right back spot has been up for grabs in Singapore. Farid, Naziru, they have failed to hold down that place. Emric Ong went to play at right wing back for the game against Hong Kong. So yeah, very simple. That spot is up for grabs. Anybody, if you do well, you show consistency, you can have you have a shot of getting that position. Let's be honest. So yes, if you find that maybe the experienced players cannot fill that void, maybe a young player can. So in a way, I sort of understand why Rushaidi was called up. But at the same time, there are players like Darren Tay from Geylang, Shannon Stephen. Okay, Shannon was injured during that time, but Shannon Stephen is now, in a way, it's a legit choice that you could perhaps call him up to fill up that right wing back position. So again, yeah, for Sundram, it's good that he took a chance on the youth. But at the same time, you cannot just call up a youth player just for the sake of calling up a youth player. If you have better options, you should always go for them for the better options. In terms of Iksan, well, any striker, no matter how old you are, how experienced you are, it is frustrating to play alone up front. You have to chase down the ball. You have to create your own chances. So yes, with what was surrounding him, Iksan, in a way, you could say that he was. It's difficult for him to contribute in terms of scoring, in terms of assisting, but at the same time, the potential is there for everyone to see. So he's good in the air. He's strong. He's quick. He's a great shot. I think he scored a long-range goal in the SEA Games. Yeah, these things are exciting. In Singapore right now, we don't have many many young strikers. So Iksan is obviously one of them. So for us, it's interesting, and we want to see him fulfill his potential. I think everybody wants Iksan to do well. Yeah. So we hope that we see better stuff from him in the future. Okay, for me, Hami is yes. What Small Donovan said was correct. Hami is a notch above his peers in the sense that he's a really good player, good technical ability, has an eye for a pass, and even though he's small in stature, he's a very combative player, and that's what the fans love to see. You might not be doing well, you might not get the results, but you just give your 100% effort, and that's more than enough for the fans. The fans usually want to see the team putting in the effort. Sometimes, yes, the results might not go our way, but we understand that. So the effort counts for everything. And for me, Hami has shown that. Okay, for other players that haven't been called up, well, you have your career in front of you. Majority of your career will come after these young lions. So my advice for the players is to just continue grinding. Keep your head down, train hard, you will get there. Okay, for us fans, if we see the effort, we will support you all the way. So yes, youth, every team, you cannot play your same old players all the time. There's always space for youth players to go in. So what Sundram is doing, yes, you call up a few young players, you get them to learn, you get them to be experienced young players. And that will only help the national team going forward and help the players themselves.
Okay, we have a first comment coming in from Eddie Hirono from Home United Supporters Club. So what Eddie is saying here in the comments is, do you think Shahrin Sabrin should have played more for Young Lions? I think to a further extent, not just Shahrin Sabrin, but other players who came into the Young Lions from their respective teams. I mean, Yohaini is another one of them that did very well for Home United last year, and this year was drafted into Young Lions. But unfortunately, these two players have not seen much playing time, previously under Richard Tardy and currently even under Coach Vincent. So, what do you guys think about players being drafted in? Since he mentioned Sharin lah, okay, because he's asking this from a home U perspective, then let's answer this from a home U perspective lah. Do you think Sharin Sabrin should have played more for Young Lions? If yes or no, what's the reason? So we start with Small Donovan first.
I think Sharin started the season, in the first team as a captain. But at the start of the season when I watched the Young Lions game, right, I'm not too sure. I don't think he's like really that outspoken to be the leader of the team. Obviously results is like going against the team as a whole. They were conceding goals, and I think that kind of like doesn't really help doesn't help him in staking a claim to be a starting player for them. To be honest, when I look at Young Lions, I would say that the best defender this season would be like Amirul Adli. Elias have actually played in centre back and has actually impressed as well. It's a 50-50 for me. He could have played more, but could he have changed the results? I don't think so. He's not like, the one of the more. He did well with Home United for a season, but when I see him play, I wasn't like really very impressed. In all honesty, yeah.
Okay, for me, I think the appointment of Vincent Subramaniam changed everything. Sharin Sabrin was the captain for before Vincent. So maybe like during training or the performances has no consistency. Yeah, those are factors that might result in him not getting as much playing time as possible. Because if I'm not wrong, he was one of the nominees for Young Player of the Year last year. So that really shouldn't be reason why he should not be playing the full season, the entirety of the season. See, so obviously Vincent Subramaniam has found some problems maybe during training or some other stuff, or maybe other players became better and maybe made them more promoted to the starting lineup. So for Sharin, as much as you can say, maybe he deserves more playing time, but for us fans, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. There may be other circumstances why he did not get picked. So as I said before, the young players just have to step up. They have to make sure they are consistent. Because if you are consistently good, there is no reason for a coach not to choose you. And there's no reason for you not to be able to move on to start for a bigger team in the league. Yeah.
Okay, I think we can actually close the chapter on Young Lions. Let's move up the table on to Brunei DPMM. Brunei DPMM this season, I would say, is quite a bad performance from them, considering that they've been doing so well for the last few seasons. Now this season, currently they are in 8th position. They only have 14 points, which means that, I think it will be fair to say that for the players that Steve Keane has, and retaining his top scorer, Ramazotti, who has been top scorer for the last 2 seasons, it's fair to say that something must have gone wrong. I'm not sure what has gone wrong, but if you look at the goals that they have scored this season, they have only scored 28 goals, and half, or slightly less than half of this came from Ramazotti, 13 goals. What do you guys think about the team? Is there something wrong with the team? Because he did not change the team much, with the exception of the foreigners. He had a few problems bringing in players earlier in the season, then they were out because of injuries and all that. And then he brought in a Serbian defender, and during the mid-season transfer window, he was transferred out. And subsequently, he brought in Salas, who is a Chilean, all right? And the other one is the striker, Daud Ghazali, who is also a striker, who has contributed 4 goals. So with the same coach, and I would say 80-85% of the same team, why are they doing so badly? What do you think went wrong in Brunei? Small Donovan first.
Okay, I think, I do agree with Aaron that the team is I think it's pretty much the same team apart from, 2 of the foreign players. But I would say, to be fair, at the start of the season, they didn't really start off well because I think the French defender that they brought in was injured. Yeah, correct. So, halfway through, they actually got a Serbian in to replace him. And then that guy got replaced mid-season by Salas. So I would say a bit of a start-stop has kind of affected the spine of the team. And Ramazotti is still, he's still doing really well. in honesty. I mean, he's like scored 13 goals with in a struggling team this season. So imagine if he's like playing for clubs like Tampines Rovers. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but when I look at DPMM squad, right, I personally feel that, I mean, to be fair, yeah, I mean, they have done well the last 2 seasons. But having said that, right, a lot of their key players, I mean, at the start of the season, the first choice goalkeeper got injured as well. And I think they couldn't really replace him properly. I think they even got a goalkeeper who is like, 47 years old to came in, which, I mean, obviously, I think they are struggling a bit in that key area, in that key position for the team. And also, like, if you look at players like Rosmin Kamis, he's like 36. And I feel like, they are probably going through like some transition where they need like new blood to come in to replace the old guns, you see. Adi Said has kind of like, I've seen him like, really done well in certain games, but it's really about being very consistent, like week in, week out. Shazarin, has scored like 2 goals in 12 games. Not good enough, in my opinion. But obviously he's not getting a lot of game time as well. So I would say, like, they need like new blood to come in to join the team. In terms of the quality, might not be good enough, because obviously they are like second last from the table at the moment. As for the striker from Chile, right? I think he was like he was a Chile international. But the last game when I watched the game against Geylang, he wasn't even in the first team lineup. Like, he was on the bench and he didn't even come on during the game. So there might be like like Donovan has shared earlier, there might be things that are happening, in the dressing room that we are not aware of, because obviously the player has quality, right? But he's not like really starting every week, so maybe there's probably like something wrong with either he's not playing to Steve Keane like tactics, or there's like some problem with his attitude in training, maybe. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, I mean, as a whole, they have definitely disappointed this season, and they should have been higher up the table, in my opinion.
All right, for me, for DPMM, I think it comes down to one very simple thing. They did not do their job at home. I mean, for DPMM in particular, the teams have to travel all the way to Brunei to play a game. And if you cannot protect your own fortress, I mean, okay, let's put it this way. If you want to be a title contender, you have to win 85 to 90% of your home games. Then, of course, away games, you try to pick as many points as you can. But at the same time, the pressure is not as much on you as during a home game. And DPM have not done their job at home. I mean, they lost heavily to the Warriors. They lost heavily to Aokang. Not to mention, when they travelled to Bishan Stadium, they got trashed, I think 9-3. This kind of results, yeah, I mean, if you cannot do it at home, I mean, you're definitely going to suffer in this league. And as they said, as everybody has said before, maybe the foreigners this season have not been better than the ones they had last season. I think Paulo Sergio was a really good player for them. He has moved on to Indonesia, and they just did not manage to replace him with better talents. And okay, I think they finished third last season, third or fourth last season. I'm not too sure. I think they finished third last season. And if you do not have a better team this season, you cannot improve on your result. Okay, it's good that you achieve a certain, maybe your top 3 placing for one season, but in order for you to maintain to do that, because everybody around you is adding players, trying to improve their team, so you have to improve at the same level or maybe more than what everybody else is doing. So they did not get the proper reinforcements for them to strive for better things this season. And as I said, you cannot do the business at home. Yeah, you are definitely going to suffer in the season. And okay, we agree that Rafael Ramazzotti is a really good striker. You put the ball in the air, put him in the position, he'll get it on target 90% of the time. he can score goals. But if you are over reliant on one player, yeah, that's how you live and die. You cannot live and die by one player. See, he might be a really, really good player. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but he's not Lionel Messi. He's not Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, these players, yes, they have the ability to change by themselves, change a result by themselves. But in the S-League, in the end, football is still a team game. You see, you have to work together as a team. So yes, Steve Keane, yeah, his resume is top. You know, Premier League experience, all that stuff. Yeah, but still, if your team is not good enough, really, at the end of the day, it's just not good enough. Yeah. So I don't know whether they will still be in the S-League next season, but they, in a sense, they have to do a massive overhaul. Yeah, you cannot just remain stagnant. Yeah, you want to improve, you gotta have better players, gotta have a better system. You cannot just do what you think, what you did last season and hope, yeah, I'm going to get away with it this season. No, you're just not going to get the same results. Yeah, so that's where I think DPMM went down. Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to Balestier Khalsa, I just want to hear, who do you think was your player of the year for Brunei DPMM? Mine is actually Azwan Ali. I feel that he did pretty well. But you might have others. Maybe we just share with us who's your favorite player for this season for DPMM.
I think this is a no-brainer for me. Definitely has to got to be like Ramazzotti. He has got like 13 goals out of 28 goals. So I mean, I'm confident to say that in certain games he has actually carried the team through. So he's definitely my player of the year for DPMM.
Yeah, simple. The most difficult thing to do in football is to score goals. Ramazzotti has scored, I think, 13 goals in 18 appearances? Yeah, 18 appearances. And he's the only one on double digits. Really, okay, yes, you can say that, I think Sharizan Sai, Adi Sai, yeah. These kind of players, they help the team, obviously, but Ramazzotti has always been the focal point of DPMM. And again, you score double digits, yeah, you're doing your job as a striker. So he has been the best player for DPMM for me. Yeah.
All right, let's move on up to position number 7, which is Balestier Khalsa. Now, with the resources that he has, would you agree that Coach Marco has done a good job this season? All right, in particular, let's talk about the foreign imports that they have gotten this season. Do you feel that they have exceeded expectations or have they underperformed in your opinion? And last but not least, there are certain players in Balestier Khalsa which I feel have been overlooked for the national team. Let's hear your thoughts. Do you think that there are individuals in Balestier which Sundram could consider calling up to the national team, and what's the reason?
Well, I think I always have a soft spot for Balestier because I really like Marco as a coach. And bro, let's be honest, he has done a fantastic job. With the kind of resources that he had, for him not to even finish last, I think that's like an achievement already. So, and the fact that they are, quite comfortable in the 7th position right now, I think it says a lot about the work that he has put in this season. Right from the start, to be honest, we know that they are not going to sign like really good imports. But what came as a shock was they actually got 3 Burmese midfielders in. To me, there isn't like any striker in the team. And I think the transfer just says something, the 3 of them appear, sign on the same day. So it seems like it's like a package deal, It's either you get all 3 or you don't sign anyone. Yeah, that's how I look at it. And the 3 players, they are quite, their playing style are actually quite similar, I would say. Yeah, except for the part, apart from the fact that On Chong Nai is more like a more advanced playmaker. We don't expect them to do miracles for Balestier, to be honest. They only have 2 goals to shoot for among the 3 of them. And both goals are scored by On Chong Nai, who has been, the better one, as compared to the other 2 Burmese players. So, I think as a whole, in general, I would say Balestier has really exceeded expectation. Obviously, they got a really solid goalkeeper. In defense, I would say that, it's good to see the players like, Hadi, Ashru getting very regular playing time, and the 2 of them have formed a really solid partnership in the heart of the defense. And also, obviously, they have Fadli Khamis on the right back, which I believe that he should actually be considered for the national setup as well. Moving on, obviously Raihan has done well, 4 goals in 20 games. He has been like the sitting midfielder, carrying the team through some of the games as well. They have like Hanafi Abba, who is like another talent, like probably one of the best talent in Singapore football at the moment. And obviously, Hazuan. What to say about that guy, man? I mean, I have not even heard of him, if not for Marco or Balestier. To be honest, I think he's probably like he should fall into that group of players where they, there's a potential for them to just fall through the crack. But Marco being Marco at Balestier, they are willing to give these players a chance. And I think that's probably the good thing that came out this season, will be like some of the players, they've really done well. And yeah, I mean, negative, I can't, I would say the only negative is like, maybe they could have done better in their transfers. Yeah, like probably sign a striker. Can you imagine if they have Ramazzotti? I think they should have been like at least a 5th or 6th, or even 4th, I think out of the 15 games that they lost this season, I just checked that, 9 games were by a single goal. So the other 6 games where they lost by more than a goal was like to Albirex, Geylang, Tampines and home. And these 4 teams are, like the strongest, like probably the strongest in the league. So, yeah, I mean, give Marco the coach of the award, man. I think he deserves it. If you don't give him the award, come on, let's put Aidil or Sundram, let them take care of let them take charge of Balestier this season, and we see how, and we see like, how they do, with the team and the kind of resources that he had. So he's definitely the coach of the year, in my opinion.
Okay, let me answer the first question. The first question is, what do you think about the Balestier players playing for the national team, right? I think right now, Zaifu Nizam is the main one that is being called up. I think he's the third choice goalkeeper, right? Okay, based on what they have right now, you could say maybe Hanafi Abba. Yeah, maybe Hanafi Abba should play for the national team. Okay, what can I say about Hanafi Abba is that he's, in my opinion, he's the most naturally talented young footballer that we have. Disregard his personal problems off the field. If we were to disregard physical abilities, physical height and everything, right? I think he has the purest talent that we have in the youth national setup. Okay, he has the ability to take players on. He's a great left foot, great shooting ability. These are the things that, like, what fans love to see. Players that can generate excitement while we are watching. Yeah, Hanafi has that in abundance. So other than him, yes, Raihan is another player that everybody says should be more involved in the team. Yeah, and maybe Raihan is suffering from like you playing for a lower club. You don't get called up because you're not because your peers are playing for teams which are doing much better. So yes, Raihan should be another player that we should look at. In terms of strikers, yeah, as Small Donovan said before, we have no strikers. How can you? I mean, I already said the most difficult thing to do in football is to score goals. You cannot do that with no strikers. Yes, okay. The foreign imports. I think Small Donovan has said that Ong Chonai is a really good player. Yeah, and for what I've seen, yes, really really good player. But again, 2 goals for an entire season. I mean, if you say yes, well, yeah, this fella is my best player, but all he has to show for it is 2 goals. I mean, yeah, that tells you that yes, Balestier needs to do a lot of work. But with the lack of resources that they had, yes, I agree that Marco has done a fantastic job in so-called not having Balestier finish last. Yeah. So I think Small Donovan has said most of it. So I'm going back to him for that.
Hey, bro, I didn't say like On Chonai is like the very, very good player, but I say like, out of the 3 foreign imports that they have, he's probably the one that, that has performed well, But, I mean, let's consider Fadli Khamis. You know, I think, I mean, honestly, if you put him in at right back, I think he can do a decent job for Singapore. You know, since the position is like up for grabs. And I mean, obviously, Hanafi is a really one of the most talented player alongside Hami, I would say. And Hazuan, I'm not too sure. I mean, he's quick, he's really fast, but whether he can do well at the international stage, I have my reservations. Even though I really like him as a player, because I think he's probably a bit too small size. You know, if you're going against the Middle East countries where their players are, you know, definitely like, you know, much more bigger than our local players. Yeah. But I mean, overall, it's been a good season. I mean, I hope they keep the team together and they can, you know, obviously sign like at least 2 strikers next season. And I'm sure they will do well, you know. Yeah.
Okay, interesting comment coming in from Amshah Hanif, who actually agrees with what you guys have said. Raihan Rahman for national team. Okay, interesting thought, because right now Sundram has actually called up quite a number of central midfielders. And if you look at the current midfielders that we have in the national team, Izdin Shafiq, Shadan Sulaiman, Haris Harun, and to a further extent, the younger ones like Anu, who are up and coming, right? With so many players vying for this same spot, okay, would Raihan still be your top choice to fit into the central midfield role for Singapore? If not, who would be your top 2 central midfielders for Singapore? Don't tell me Mustafik, please. I know you're a Tampines fan, but Mustafik is probably now only good for playing centre back. I'm sorry, Farah, I love you, but that's the truth. All right, Small Donovan.
No Mustafik, I will go for Shadan. No? Yeah, I would say Shadan and Haris. I think they will make a good pairing. Yeah, I think Haris is definitely, I think his spot in the national team is secure. You know, apart from Shadan, the only other 2 players I can think of is probably like Anu. But obviously he just came back. He need game time. He need to be consistent. He need to. But I mean, in the first 1-2 games where we saw like he was playing against, I mean, for home, he's done really well. I think, you know, he doesn't look out of place, even though you can see that bit of rustiness in him. He scored a goal against Warriors as well. So he's definitely in for the shot. I think in many more years to come, I think he will be one of the key player for the national team. Apart from Anu, Shadan, I don't know. I mean, Raihan is a good player. But the midfield is really a bit packed. So I'm not too sure. I think he still need to, you know, I mean, obviously players playing for like lower, you know, the bottom teams, they seldom get the opportunity. But I would say like he probably like done well in Balestier. Maybe he deserves a place, but in the first team, I'm not too sure. Yeah.
For me, yes, Raihan will not start for Singapore. Yeah. For me, my first 2 choices would be the Home United pairing of Haris and Anu. Basically, for their industry, they can be the heartbeat of the Singapore team. You know, they can defend, they can go forward. I think out of the 2, maybe Haris is more comfortable playing up front, playing forward, yeah, doing all the stuff. But in that sense, they play off each other well. And midfield is all about synergy, you see. So if these 2 players are playing in the same team for their club, when they go to the country, when they play for their country, you know, the chemistry is there, you see. So for Raihan, it will be hard for him to get a starting position. But of course, you never know in football. You know, maybe next season, you know, he comes back a total different player. He has good set piece delivery. You know, I could say that the Singapore team, as much as we love to play the long balls, we don't have really good. We don't have players who can deliver the ball into that danger zones, as well as maybe what Raihan can do. So he's an option that we can bring off the bench. You know, Raihan's, you know, he holds the ball well, good passing. As I said before, the set piece, he can take long shots. You know, these kind of impact players, we can always bring him on in case we need a goal. Yeah, so, well, he might not be my choice for a starting position. He should definitely be included inside the squad. And Sundram has to find a way to sort of to make sure that Raihan has a chance to try to perform, to show what he can do. Yeah. So, yeah, he might not be the starting, but he should definitely be in the squad for me. Yep.
Okay, let's move up the table to position number 6, Hougang United. I know all of you probably feel that Hougang could do better lah. All right, because first of all, Philip Au came to Hougang with quite a big reputation for blooding youngsters, and I think this season he has done that at Hougang. I mean, look at Justin Hui, you look at even Lionel Tan, who came from Home U Prime League, came over, Gareth Low. These players are all playing sort of quite a big role, I would say. He threw them on in games that you wouldn't expect him to throw youngsters on, but he blooded them right from the start. And how did they repay him? Justin Hui recently scored a goal, and that happened to be the winning goal against Garena Young Lions. Apart from this, with the players that he had, do you think that Philip Au could have done better this season? Because Hougang generally has always been a mid-table team. All right, and this season they are still mid-table, even though they have changed coach. They have brought in some new foreigners. All right, apart from Fumiya, who stayed on. Are you guys satisfied with this placing that he has right now, or do you think he could have done better? And if he should have done better, what should he have done better? Small Donovan first.
Okay, I expected them to do a lot better than the 6th position, with the squad that they have. And obviously, like I mentioned, he came with a very big reputation, a philosophy. He actually brought along a few players from like Home United as well. I think, everyone was kind of like expecting them to at least challenge for the top 3 spots. But, having said that, I think it takes time, for the philosophy to set in. I personally like Philip Au as a coach, and I believe that he should be given more time. And I think the problem that they have is it's the same problem as what Tampines or even Balestier is facing, that they don't really have like a striker that can score the goals. Pablo has only scored 2 goals in the league this season, which is quite a disappointment. I mean, given the fact I was quite surprised that he wasn't replaced during the mid-transfer window. Then Faris Farhan is the top scorer in the league, as a striker, 4 in 10. Koguri is the top striker, as in top scorer, 7 in 18. So it kind of gives you the story that they let off a natural finisher, someone who can actually bring at least 10 to 15 goals a season. And also one very interesting fact, when I was actually looking through at Hougang results, right, I personally feel that Philip Au has kind of when they were doing well when they were having a good run in the Singapore Cup, I think towards the later stage, you can see that he was actually focusing, he was that was his top priority. So when I was looking at the games, right, the funny fact is the S.League game before and after every cup games, right, it was a loss. For the last one, when they play 2 legs against Global, before they play against Global, they lost 2-1 to DPMM at home. After the second leg against Global, they lost to Home United, and then they lost to Albirex. So, I think that kind of says a lot also, due to the rotation and everything. You could see that he was he was really going all out for the cup, which I wouldn't say it backfired, because I think it was quite controversial also. If you guys remember the first leg against Global, it should have been it was a clear handball, and I think that was a letdown. And obviously, they lost the second leg. So, they are now in the third placing. They are going to play the third place, what's that called? It's third placing with Home United. So it's kind of a disappointment, but I would say overall, in general, in terms of S.League, people expect them to do a lot better. But obviously, the good thing is like what Aaron has mentioned, he has actually brought in a lot of players this season. The likes of Liner, who was playing week in, week out before he was enlisted. The likes of Justin, Gareth Low. And I would say the best game of the season was, I watched the game at Hougang Stadium. They won 1-0 against Albirex. And during that game, they didn't really start with the first team. Half the team were Prime League or even, so that was a tactical masterclass, in my opinion. You can see that Philip is a really good coach. He set his team out, get the goal, and then, basically just stay compact. And I think that was Albirex's first loss of the season. Yeah, so I think it says a lot. I mean, he has a philosophy. He has like, I would say like good players in the team. I think they just need to sign like a really proven goal scorer, and yeah, I mean, just give him a bit more time. I think it always takes time to implement the philosophy. You can't expect like instant result overnight. I don't think it happened in today's soccer anymore.
Okay, first, I would like to give a shout out to the Hougang Who's fans who are listening to this podcast. I'm a neutral fan of the S.League, but I find myself gravitating towards the Hougang games, especially just because of the atmosphere the Who's create. So yes, as a looking at an overall standpoint, yes, this season has been a disappointing one for Hougang, but at the same time, it was a new start for Philip. He came into the team this season. He had his system. He wanted to put his system in place. And at the start of the season, you could tell that the players were still not used to like playing 3 men at the back, playing 5 at the back. So as the season progressed, the players got more into it. They understood where they're supposed to play, how they're supposed to run. And towards the end, they had really good performances against the likes of Albirex, against Home United. So even though overall, yes, you could say they did not do good enough this season, but at the same time, there are many things to look forward to. For Hougang, I think this season in particular, they focus a lot on the Singapore Cup. So you could see in some league games, I think Small Donovan has said before their big league games, they are big cup games, they lost or they didn't really do that well in the league games. But at the same time, you should, you have a big squad, you prepare for cup tournaments, you should be able to tide your team through the season. They have a really good player in Fumia. I think top 3, one of the best players in the S.League. Really good on the ball, can take players on, holds the ball, scores goals. Exactly what you want your foreign import to do. At the back they have Kento. Atsushi. Yeah, they have Shirota at the back. Really, really solid at the back. Anything in the air he gets. He wins his aerial battles most of the time. You have the young players like Lionel. The Winder did pretty well towards the end of the season. Okay, on their right-hand side, you had Naziru. Naziru had that big game against Home United. But over the stretch of the season, yes, you could see his pace helped him a lot. Maybe he needs to improve on his defending side. But going forward, really good player up front. I think the loss of Anu sort of in the middle made them, they had to adjust, they had to find players to fill up that position. But at the same time, I think the biggest disappointment in the way was how Pablo did not score goals. We expected him to come hit the ground running. Spanish striker, everybody thought, big man, good target man, maybe with the likes of Fumia, who can put in balls in like really dangerous positions, right? You thought Pablo would probably score a lot of goals this season, but that did not materialize. But at the same time, Philip, he blooded his youngsters. That's what everybody likes to see. So, you have the likes of Gerald Ting, Justin Hui. As you said, Justin Hui scored the goal last week, I think. To win the game. You have the likes of Gareth. You give youth a chance. You play them to get alongside their more experienced counterpart. That's how the team, gets better. So they have a really good young strike force in the wings in Faris Fahan. They have Iqbal. These players, exciting players, like to take on defenders, try to score goals. So. In a sense, we expected a lot more from Hougang, but just maybe, they played a bit too many games. I think, the AFC Cup, the run, the FA Cup, the Singapore Cup run, maybe, yes, towards the end, it took a toll on the players. But I think for Philip, it will be like, since we know how hard this season has been, we'll prepare for it better next season. So maybe next season, we could see them crack the top 3. What is it?
Okay, interesting observation here is that looking at the strikers that Hougang actually has, right, this season, right, do you think the return of Iqbal would be helpful for the team? Because Iqbal has been out for quite a while due to national service. Of course, you guys mentioned that Pablo did not score that many goals, and recently he also injured his ACL, so I believe he'll be this season to bolster their attack up front.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about the ACL to Pablo. Didn't know that he actually suffered a serious injury. So I would say, yeah, I mean, Iqbal, I like Iqbal. I think he is like, he's like a baller, basically. He drifts in and out, he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. But having said that, I think he really need to focus on improving the end product. I think that is the only part that is lacking in his game. I think sometimes he kind of showboat a bit too much. But apart from don't get me wrong, right? I like him as a player. I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's like one of the very few local guys that I've seen, that is really so comfortable, dribbling with the ball, trying to make things happen. So yeah, I mean, things are looking good for them, to be honest. I think I like Faris Farhan as well. That guy, he can really finish. If you give him the space, he can punish the defense. So, in terms of the strikers, well, I can't think of any at the moment. But if there's a type of striker that they should sign, it should be someone who is good at holding the ball. Someone like Pablo, but can finish as well. You know what I mean? Because I think Pablo, he's he's big, he can hold the ball. He's supposed to be able to hold the ball. Someone like a Vitor Koto, where you can hold the ball and bring the others to play. Because I think Hougang, naturally, if you look at the squad this season, they have so many runners off the ball. You got Iqbal, you got Faris, you got Fumiya. You need someone who is able to hold the ball and, you have the players there to run the channels, So I think that is the kind of players that they probably need. Yeah, I wouldn't say a complete target man, but someone who is a finisher, but can really hold the ball and get others into play. Yeah.
Okay, for me, I'll be honest, I don't think they need to sign any players. Because simple, okay, you have Faris Farhan, you have Iqbal Hussein. For Iqbal, he didn't play the complete season. Yeah, he had to finish his NS before he could play the game. So yeah, that's what you do pre-season for. You get your players up. You train them, make sure they are better next season. You have the likes of Antoine, who's playing for, he was the fourth foreigner, playing the Prime League. He could make that step up, okay? So, in terms of strikers, okay, you look at it, okay, if next season I tell you, okay, Hougang will have 3 strikers. We will have Faris Farhan, Iqbal Hussein, and Antoine. I think that's as good as a chance you're going to get next season. Maybe, yes, what you can do is you bring on players who make you get better defenders, get midfielders, you form the foundation around them. But you let the 3 of them, try to do the business, go up front, score goals. So, in a sense, they do not need to target a specific kind of player. But if they could improve on what of them they have, what they have now, they just improve it. And yeah, maybe that's what they can do next season. I think Small Donovan has a suggestion for who Hougang should sign. And let's hear what he has to say.
Actually, I just thought of one player that Hougang can potentially look at. The player will be Suto. He's good at holding ball, he's good at drawing fouls, and he's at Home United. He's scoring a lot of goals at Premier League level. Since they get your Stipe, why not you get that Suto, And I think, he might even just improve working under, Philip Au. I think Philip Au has a really good reputation, working with the younger players. And who knows, Suto might just do the job for Hougang.
Actually, for those of you who follow the Prime League, right, Hougang does have good strikers in the Prime League. Yeah. And what Big Donovan mentioned was Shukri Bashir, which I feel is a very talented player. Hougang should do whatever they can to hold on to him. In time to come, right, if you put Antoine and him together up front, I think it's pretty deadly. But of course, right now, they're still very raw, unfinished product. But knowing Philip, he's the kind of coach that would give opportunities to young players. So I really hope to see Shukri evolve into a really good striker, not only just for Hougang, but in future for the national team. I can imagine Shukri pairing up with players like Ifat Ismail for our future, that will be a very deadly strike force for us. Okay, we're going to move on to team that's in the 5th position, and this team, for me, largely underperformed this season with the kind of stars that they have, even though they are fading stars, but still, these are players that should light up the league. And one point about them is that they are actually the draw specialists of the league. They are the team that drew the most time, more than anybody else, 6 times in the league. And the one that we're talking about right now is obviously Warriors FC, who's in 5th position. Warriors FC at the start of the season did make some headlines when they signed players like, stars like Baihaki, like Ridwan, players who have established themselves overseas. But so far, the season hasn't really been rosy for them, even though they have quite a good lineup. What do you guys think went wrong for Razif? On Small Donovan first.
Actually, I beg to differ, bro. I mean, I don't really agree with you completely. I mean, yeah, they have made some really big signings, but when I was actually looking, I mean, based on what I see on, papers, right, as in like, when I look at teams on paper, I would say Warriors, they should, they actually met my expectation of like finishing mid-table, if you ask me honestly. Sorry, Dew, but that's my take, I mean, they have good players, don't get me wrong. But I think one area that they really need to address is the goalkeeper. They don't have none of the 3 goalkeepers actually convinced me. In fact, none of the 4 goalkeepers, including the Prime League guy, who actually handled the ball outside the box in one of the cup game, I think that was like just ridiculous. I mean, that is, I mean, if you have played goalkeeper for a long time, I think that is the first thing that you shouldn't be. This is not something that you should. It's like yeah, I mean, it's a no-no for a goalkeeper, in my opinion. I think they just need to address that, the goalkeeper position. And obviously, I think Bahaki is going to retire at the end of the season. So they probably need, new players in that position as well. But apart from that, I mean, they have very good players, the young players like Ho Wai Lun, one that stood out for me. Surya Prakash, came back last week and he scored. And I think I heard that he played well in that game as well. I mean, obviously, you still have players like Emerick, who is still very young, right? 26, and you still have like Fukuda, who is only 27. So I think it's really about finding the players in to replace the aging ones. I mean, Ridwan is past 30, Shari Ishak is 33. So it's like, I think they will actually kind of like go through a transition phase. But apart from that, yeah, I mean, mid-table is where they should be, if you ask me. I mean, they are not a team that is going to challenge for the title. Let's be realistic about it. Yeah, so I would say it's a so-so season. Nothing much to shout about. But I think there's a lot of work to do in terms of the players transfer, getting a new players in.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with my smaller size twin here. I think Warriors did not play to their expectations. I think with the team they had, they could potentially had tried to contest, maybe really competitively contest for top 3. Okay, this is why. Okay, they started really, really well. I remember toward the start of the season, they were close to the top. I think they had to fight back to win the Young Lions, if I'm not wrong. They had to fight back to win, to draw with Home United. I think they were a man down. They were 2-0 down. They were man down. And then they scored last minute goals to come back. So at that point in time, it showed that maybe, with the experienced players, yeah, we could come back from bad situations. But suddenly, I don't know why, maybe, they just fell off a cliff. Everything went down. They could not get the results. But at the same time, look at the players they have. Okay, you have your established internationals. You have the lights of Shari Ishak. You have Ridwan. Okay, yes, these Shaiful SI. You have these players who are potentially past their prime, but they still can contribute. Shari Ishak has scored 10 goals this season. He has played in majority of their games. You have Jordan Webb, really exciting player. Everybody has been calling, we should naturalize Jordan Webb. He fits really well. He could play in the wings. You have an exciting player like that. At the back, you have Kento Fukuda. Well, Japanese imports really do well in Singapore. I can see. So yes, the big problem I saw was the goalkeeper. They could not find a consistently good enough goalkeeper to help them tide through the season. There are really few really good goalkeepers in the S.League, but yeah, a really good goalkeeper gets you a point at least every single game. They just did not have the goalkeeper to do that. Okay. Based on the players they have, they have Emmerich. Emmerich has played majority of the games. His performances warranted a place for him in the national team. So he must be doing something right. Okay. So they have the players to do it. They have Jordan Webb, who provides the flair side of the game. At the start of the season, yes, they had to change their front striker. Because Jonathan Behe, after a while he just said, no, I'm not going to stay. Jonathan Behe, right? So they came with Andre Cholaku. Andre Cholaku missed, I think, Joel Shimbamba, Joel Shimbamba was the striker for us. Get mixed up some of the time. So Joel Shimbamba suddenly just disappeared, he was scoring goals. That's the thing. He was one of the scorers for Warriors. Suddenly, he just left. So they brought in Andre Cholaku. I think he missed a penalty in his first game. But slowly he adapted to the game. He's scoring goals, trying to contribute right now. So the things they have been heavily reliant on Shari Shak. For goals, from free kicks, And he might be past his prime, but obviously he still can contribute. So for me, the Warriors just they did not meet expectations, largely through, I could say, bad goalkeeping. You could have a really good game against I think Albrechts in the League Cup, in the final, right? The one that there was a controversial, I think, in the offside goal right at the end. But before that, they did really well against the Albrechts. They won a penalty. Jordan Webb missed a penalty. Shari Shak should have scored with the rebound. I think he skied it over the bar. After that, everything, the momentum just died after that. So, with their win, maybe you could say, the Warriors did at least they won something this season. But in the end, they did not. So, all in all, I think they just did not meet the expectations. Small Donovan is disagreeing on what I'm saying. So maybe we shall want to hear what he has to say about this.
No, I mean, seriously, I think they, I didn't really expect them to do very well this season. Like, even at the start of the season, I mean, you were right that they actually started the league. They started the league well, but they were really conceding a lot of goals. And I think that was something that I wasn't really convinced about, that they can really mount a serious title challenge, or even for the top 3 or 4 spots. So I think they are where they are. I think they belong to the 5th or 6th position. But if you want me to compare, as compared to Hougang, I think Hougang has actually failed to live up to expectation more as compared to Warriors.
Interesting that you guys should mention about the 2 foreign strikers. Of course, Shibamba, who came in earlier. But the thing is, Shibamba only started a few games after Warriors started the season, which was a bizarre thing for me. Okay. But anyway, going back to the point that Shari Ishak is the top scorer, for me, if I'm the coach, it is a worrying sign. Because if we're relying on him for goals, then something must be wrong. Because Shari is more like a creative player more than a goal scorer. Okay, looking at the record of Shibamba and Cholaku. Okay, let's look at Shibamba first. Shibamba came in maybe 2-3 games after Warriors started their season, scored 4 goals after 8 appearances. Cholaku came in after the mid-season transfer window, played 10 games, scored 3 goals. Of course, these are all league figures, not cup figures. I know Cholaku did very well for Warriors in the cup, but let's look at the league. Now, looking at this, right, what do you guys think? Should Razif On have given Shibamba more time? Because looking at the goals, the return of the goals against the games that were played, Shibamba seems to be better, more prolific in terms of goal percentage per games played. Do you think Shibamba should have been given more time so that we could see the real Shibamba as the season progressed? Or do you think that maybe from the start we should have signed someone like Cholaku? Because Cholaku's style is something like Stipe. He can hold the ball, but he can also finish, which was what Small Donovan mentioned earlier, a player that perhaps is what Hougang needs, someone like Cholaku. Looking at just these 2 foreign imports, what do you think would have been the better option? Or should we have just look for, a different striker altogether? Small Donovan first.
I think they should have just, I think that season might turn out better if they just sign Shiolaku right from the beginning. Shimbaba, I think he come across as like, he has a bit of a character in him. Like, I mean, I read an article somewhere that, he has quite a, I think he has some like, I think he wasn't like really professional when he was starting out, and, it's a bit like prima donna. A bit like a Balotelli. I mean, he looked like one also. So I'm not too sure what happened, why he left midway through, but maybe that's like part of the reason, I would say. Shiolaku, I mean, he is not as mobile as Stipe. I mean, he can hold the ball, he can shoot, but I mean, he happens to be like at the right place at the right time in some of the games that I watched. So maybe they would have done better with him, like if they have him like right from the start of the season instead of like changing players like midway through.
Okay, in hindsight, obviously you should have signed Cholaku from the start. Yeah, he seems like the more stable one of the two. Yeah, he brings players in play, but I think Shimbaba gave them the option of like, I'm going to hold the ball. So, I hold the ball, let Jordan Webb, let Shari Shah come and join me, so we can try to score goals, So, okay, basically, yeah, you just need a striker that scores goals. Both of them can score. But maybe Cholaku brought more than just scoring. He could, more mobile, he run the channels, draw space. Whereas Shimbaba was more like a target forward, in a sense. Yeah. So, yeah, for me, if we take whatever we have seen into account, obviously Cholaku would be a better choice.
Okay, so there we have it, our review of the season for the bottom 5 teams. Okay, before we end this podcast, right, I'd actually like to pass the mic around to the two gentlemen before me. What are your predictions for this season's Player of the Year and the Young Player of the Year? Okay, it doesn't have to be from the bottom 5 teams, of course. Your thoughts, Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year. So, Small Donovan first.
Young Player of the Year is like, it can be anyone. Like, is there like an age? 23, yeah. Wow. Hey. Player of the Year.
Let's go for Player of the Year first.
I would say Stipe. Yeah, I mean, he has scored so many goals. Like both in league, both in cup competition, and he has reached 30 over goals this season. So, if you ask me, like what my bro has shared, scoring goal is the most difficult part of the game. So if someone has scored 30 over goals, then, he's definitely like one of the contender, if you ask me. Yeah, so I think Stipe for me. But then again, Albirex is the champion. So I would say Inaba. Yeah, it's either, I would say, can I have two choices? Like either Shuto, if you ask me, it's either Shuto or Stipe. Because Shuto is really important for them as well. He's like the engine, the engine room for Albirex. So yeah, that would be my choice. Yeah, either one, like Shuto Inaba or Stipe.
Okay, for me, both players should come from Albirex. Yeah, because you mentioned goals, right? Tsubasa Sano has got a lot of goals. Yeah. Ryota Nakai has got a lot of goals. I think Ryota Nakai is under 23, or maybe he's 23 lah. So if he's 23, yeah, Ryota Nakai would be my player for Young Player of the Year. But yeah, Player of the Year, you got the likes of Inaba, Shuto Inaba. Really, the driving force of that Albirex midfield. Everybody gets the bodies in front of him because they score a lot of goals. He's the one at the back, steering the ship. At the same time, the left back, Nafumi Tanaka. Oh, this fella came out of nowhere. He scored quite a few goals from the left back position. Yeah. So, okay, but back to who should be the player of the season. Player of the season, I would say Shuto. Because Shuto Inaba, because he did the behind the scenes work. I'm not comparing my smaller competitor here, but yeah, I really feel that Shuto he's a driving force. He made everything go. He won the ball, go forward. That center defensive midfield role that I think is probably one of the hardest, or if not the hardest position, second hardest behind a striker lah. That's the most difficult position that because you got to watch the game. More of your reading of your game instead of your physical qualities. Yeah, so Shuto Inaba for player of the season, and then Ryoto Nakai for the young player of the season. Yeah, that's right.
I missed out on the young player of the season. It should be Sano lah. He's 23. I just checked. So he has scored like so many goals as well. I think he should be a better choice as compared to Nakai. Yeah. So I think Sano or player of the year will be Shuto Inaba or Stipe. Yeah.
Okay, actually today at this Black White Tail Cafe, we do have a few writers who are joining us here for dinner. Of course, today is the FA Cup final, so they happen to be in the area lah. But let's just pass the mic around and listen to their opinions for Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year. Okay, joining me, who are not in the podcast today but just seated next to us, are King Hui, one of the writers from the podcast. We have Jia Hui, who is from S.League.com, and we have Dale, who is a Warriors fan. So please don't just say Warriors players. All right. Okay, we go to Jia Hui first because Jia Hui is standing next to me. Your choice for Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year. Reasons why?
For Player of the Year, I'll give it to Yosuke Nozawa of Albrecht Niigata. Yeah, I mean he's a very steady presence in between the sticks, and whenever the defense gets penetrated, right, and then the players will feel safe, because there's this Nozawa at the back to stabilize everything and all that. Yeah, Young Player of the Year, I'll give it to. This is a tough one. Young player.
It's tough, right?
Yeah, that's why.
There are too many young players.
Right. Yeah, actually, because their squad is not exactly that old, apart from Nozawa and all that. Yeah, okay, I mean, I agree with the people. They said Inaba. Yeah, correct. I mean, solid in the middle. He's controlling everything and creating the attacks and all that. Yeah.
Okay, so Jia Hui's choice is Yosuke Nozawa for Player of the Year and Inaba for Young Player of the Year. Let's go to Dale. Dale, who's your Player of the Year?
For me, I think it has to be Stipe, just because he scored so many goals, and because of him, it was like Home made it so far in the FC Cup. They had a good run all the way up to the end, and it's mostly because of him. So I believe Stipe should be the Player of the Year. Young Player of the Year is tough because, people are telling me things which I don't understand right now, but. Okay, my biggest thing is Zaino.
Okay, so Zaino Golem, are we good with that?
No. Okay. All right. So Tamil Maran better. No, Maran better. Mukunda Maran was better. But it's because more than the younger players, there were a few better, let's say newcomers to the league who are still young but probably don't fit the young player bill anymore. Like Shawal for me would be. If he can be considered, it'll be Shawal.
Okay, let's go over to King Hui. Who do you think should be Player of the Year and who do you think should be Young Player of the Year?
I guess I'm a little bit biased. I like Stipe for his contributions. The goals are invaluable to what would have been a really good season for Home United if not for the strange patches of form. So I would say Stipe Plazibat is Player of the Year. As for Young Player of the Year, well, I just got back from Iceland, so I'm a bit lost as to the ages of the respective players, and I haven't really been watching. I've heard of Shannon Stephen for a while. I don't think he's made that much of an impact, but it's unfortunately one of the first few names to cross my mind. So I guess that's gonna be what I can contribute for the time being. Yep.
Okay, so they have all given. I think most of you have chose Shuto Inaba. Actually, for me, Player of the Year is also Shuto Inaba. For me, Young Player of the Year, I tend to disagree. I think it's Hami or Darren Tay, but maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm biased. Okay, now got people shouting Hanafi Akbar as well. Okay, but those are our choices. Of course, S.League Awards night is coming up soon, and the nominations will be up soon as well. So do look out for the nominations in the S.League.com website, and you can actually see which are the players that were nominated, and hopefully, some of us get the nominations or the winners correct. Okay, this has been another edition of the podcast. The next podcast we'll be actually talking about the top 4 teams, so do look out for the next podcast. Probably it's going to be a live one as well, so you guys can just add in your comments, and we'll be online soon again. See you soon. Thank you.